Okay, I'm going to talk about how to repin a flange, and there are lots of points in the piano where there are pivot points, like on this flange. So the hammer swings back and forth like that. For example, here's another one, this jack in here that pivots back and forth. Get a shot of that. There's a pin in there. Here's a grand piano. There's a pin that goes through there. That pivots. These whippins. There's a pin. Can you get a shot back here? There's a pin that pivots on. Actually, this is a good example because it's right. There's another pin down here where that connects, and a pin up here where that moves. So there are tons of these little pivot points in a piano. Several hundred, in fact, if you count them all up, include all the notes. Okay, so the principle, what we're going for here, is there's a felt bushing on that side and on that side, and I'll do another video on how to replace the bushings, get that nice clean circle in there of felt, get it the right size. And then there's this part here that's called the bird's eye. So the bird's eye is, and this is the essential principle that we're going for in repinning. The bird's eye holds the pin tight. The bushings here on the flange, the pin should be nice and snug in there, and there should be a little bit of friction, not too much friction, but a little bit, enough friction that it won't move back and forth like this, but not so much friction that it impedes the movement of whatever part it happens to be. So again, to review, the bird's eye holds it tight, and the pin is stationary, and it's essentially the flange that rotates around the pin. Okay, some other principles to talk about. We want that pin in the bird's eye tight enough, but not so tight that when we're forcing that pin in there, because it's just a pressure fit, we're forcing a pin in there, and we don't want it such a large pin that it breaks that bird's eye open. So I'll show you in this video how to make the right choice. Okay, some other things. Here are the proper tools. This tool here, this is what does the pushing of the pin. The pin goes in there, and then you force it in there. This is how to take an old pin out. So when you've got a pin in the bird's eye, force that pin out with that. So that's a very specialized piano tool. These are flush cutters, which is essential. You have to 100% of the time use flush cutters, where they cut this surface here is straight, as opposed to what you see on most pliers. The cutters are inside a little bit, so you have to use flush cutters. These two, they're both tapered. So they start out, I don't know, I've seen 40 thousandths of an inch, something like that, and they taper up to 60 thousandths or so, 65 thousandths. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've measured. And then, so this is the cutter. It's actually a square. Can you see that? It's a square shape. And then this is the burnisher. It's very smooth. So round. So what this does is, little by little, it goes in there and it cuts. It removes a little bit of felt. I always, after I remove a little bit of felt, kind of blow away the little scraps, and then burnish it, which is essentially what you're doing is you're ironing it. If you were to enlarge that hole, this little tiny felt hole there, if you were to enlarge it, you'd have little felt fingers, that are coming out from where it was cut. So what this does is it goes in there and it irons it. And I always put
That's not tapered.
It is tapered.
It is tapered.
Yeah. And I always, after I do it, I always hold it to my lip right here, because it's very sensitive, and you can feel if you're generating heat you know that you've ironed it. And I do it on both sides to ensure that it's going the same distance. Hold it to my lip and I can feel, okay, I've generated heat. It's ironed, and those little felt cuttings are taken care of. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to choose which pin to use. How are we doing on battery on that camera?
How do I tell?
It'll flash battery. Okay, we're okay. Okay, first thing we do is we want to choose the pin that is our target pin to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the pin. They're graduated sizes. I'm going to find the very last pin, the largest pin that I can put in the bird's eye, just with my fingers alone. So that's we're gonna go up 2 sizes, or a whole size, two half sizes, up from there. If we go more than that, we risk cracking the bird's eye. If we go less than that, the bird's eye won't hold it tight enough. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a guess. I'm gonna start out at maybe 19.5. See if that pin will be a good fit. 19.5 is too loose. Try 20. Still too loose. I can put it in that bird's eye very easily. 20.5. Still fairly loose. Size 21. No. Okay. I can't put that all the way through, so which is actually quite a drastic change from 20.5 that went in easily up to 21. So either it's the incorrect pin, or I don't know, but I'll say that 20.5 was the last one that I could do just with my fingers, so I'm going to go up to 21.5. That's going to be my target pin. So I take one of these out. That's the pin I'm going to use. I'm going to put it in here, and sure enough, too tight. It's way too tight in there. So I'm going to have to remove some material. Can't go too far in there. Just remove a little bit of material. The other side. Then burnish it. I like to do it on my surface, on a flat surface, or I do it on my knee. Like if I'm at a customer's home, I'll do it like this on my thigh. And you got to be careful that you don't pull this out too far and then poke it, because you'll shoot one of those. There's a little heat there. I felt it on my lip just now. This is how I like to do it at the customers. You know, so I'm essentially clamping it with my fingers there, or if I'm doing it on a flat surface like this, you know, it works very well to just kind of clamp it down there, touch it to my lip. There, sure enough, it's generated some heat. Now see how I did? You know what? I think that's a little bit. It's a little bit too loose. I don't like that. So I think I went a little bit too far. So let's try. This was a 21.5, wasn't it? Let's try 22. I probably won't crack the bird's eye going up just another half step. There is that, you know, like I said earlier in this video, there is that possibility. Okay, this is on the loose side, but I think it's still okay. So I was just a little too aggressive there.
Took too much material out?
I think so. And what you can also do is you can also, what I've noticed is sometimes if I'm doing the burnisher and I notice, okay, it's just a little bit too tight, and I go up a half size, or sorry, it's just a little bit too loose and I go up a half size, now it's too, well, let's see, no, sorry. My target pin is a little bit too tight, but not extremely tight. I can actually then do the burnisher again, so I'm not actually removing material, and I can be more aggressive with that burnisher, and that will open it up seemingly just enough that now it's loose enough. So yeah, and I'm still not liking it. Darn it, it's still a little bit on the loose side. I think it'll be okay, but it'll swing. We're gonna test it after, and it'll swing too many times. I like it fewer times. I like it to swing when you hold it like this. I like it to swing 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I think in literature I've seen it as much as swinging 9 times. That to me, I think most is like 4 to 7. I like it 3 to 4. 7 to 9 just seems excessive, and I think this might be that. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this pin in because I'm afraid that I'm going to crack the bird's eye if I go up another half step, which is what I want to do because I was too aggressive there. So hopefully just putting this in will kind of prepare the bird's eye for an even larger pin. So we're okay there. And that didn't seem to stress the bird's eye very much. So I'm going to go up even bigger. So now I'm quite a bit bigger than my original, a full size bigger than my original target. Okay, so I like that. That's nice. It's a little bit tighter on the other side. John, you want to feel that? See what you think. Oh, it's Mike Wilson calling. I'll have to call him back. So do you feel the friction in there? There's friction, but there's not so much friction that it...
Yeah, it's still free to move, yet it's got enough friction, there's no slop.
Yeah, that's
it's nice
right.
and tight.
There's definitely no slop. Okay, the other thing, we're almost out of battery on this camera here. The other thing you got to make sure of is that you have this this rail on the right side, so you don't want to make the mistake of putting it like that. Got to make sure it's like that. So I put this in just like that, where can you get that? Where that little thing is kind of poking out, but it's not broaching the surface. Then I'm going to put it in here and then kind of feel with my thumb. Okay, there. I just felt it go in. So now it's in, but of course I'm nowhere near being able to push it in all the way with my finger. It's in just a fraction of an inch, and then I force it in the rest of the way. Hopefully we don't crack the bird's eye, and yeah, we don't. It's okay. And swing test is kind of hard on this because we have this strap here. We might have to redo those. A little bit too small. And then cut this off flush. Awesome flush cutters. There we go. Now it's flush there, and it's flush there. And I'm afraid these might be a little bit too short, but that's not what we're doing this video for. We're just doing the video for repinning. So there you have it. Repinning.